I'm going to show you some pictures. I don't have any charts or graphs. People remember pictures after they've forgotten the charts. And it's my autobiography. Once upon a time, public school kid, flunking out of high school. And an art teacher saved my life. His name was Frank Ross. I was walking down the hallway, and this guy had a potter's wheel, and he made this great big old bowl. And I was fascinated. And he turned around and says, "Can I help you?" I said, "What is that, man?" He said, "Well, that's clay." And I said, "Well, I want you to teach me how to do that." So for the remaining 2 years of high school, I cut all my classes and went to the art room. But I was smart enough to give the teachers whose classes I was cutting the pottery I made. And they gave me passing grades. That's how I got out of the place. And Mr. Ross says, "You're too smart to die. I don't want it on my conscience. You're going to college. I'm leaving this school, and I'm not going to let you get shot like your buddies." So I applied to the University of Pittsburgh, where I promptly flunked the Scholastic Aptitude Test, having never seen it before. So I get into the university as a probationary student. But I'm very pleased to tell you, not only did I graduate with honors, I'm now a trustee of that university. And I was the commencement speaker. I got up in front of 13,000 people at the commencement and said, "Don't give up on the poor kids. They might end up being the commencement speaker." And that story is what I'm going to talk about for a few minutes. People are born into the world as assets, not liabilities. It's all in the way that you treat people that drives behavior. And just because you're poor or black or Hispanic or a woman is no excuse for not doing extraordinary things. So I built a training center for poor folks in my neighborhood. My whole 63 years is 6 city blocks. And I'll die right in that neighborhood. Part of the reason is I want the kids to know that you don't have to go to the world, you can bring the world to where you live. So I hired a student of a fellow named Frank Lloyd Wright. He did okay in the architecture business. And I built a center with this student of Frank Lloyd Wright. That's the center. This is my concept of a training center for poor people. This happens to be in the highest crime rate neighborhood in Pittsburgh. If you all come to Pittsburgh and you're all invited, you'll fly into Greater Pittsburgh International Airport. My building was the scale model for the Pittsburgh Airport. The whole theory is poor people never have a nice day. They don't even know that the sun comes up in the morning because they stop looking at it. So the theory is if you want to get people to perform like world-class citizens, you got to treat them that way. So this is my version of what a training center for poor people is supposed to look like. That's the entrance to the building. It's flooded with sunlight. It has fabulous artwork. It's all my taste. Well, because I raised all the money. I said to my board, when y'all raise the money, we'll put your taste on the wall. But we have quilts and clay and calligraphy, and everywhere your eye turns, there's something beautiful looking back at you. That's quite deliberate. In 26 years, we've never had one act of vandalism, theft, a racial incident, drugs or alcohol in the highest crime rate neighborhood in Pittsburgh. We have no metal detector, no anti-theft system. We haven't lost a screwdriver in 26 years. Now, when you come to Pittsburgh, I'll take you to Malden High School. It's still up there. Steel doors and metal detectors, same neighborhood, same kids. Environment drives behavior. Beautiful environments create beautiful kids. Prisons create prisoners. This is our boardroom. Commissioned a Japanese cabinet maker to do 60 pieces of furniture for our school. We even have fresh flowers in the building every day, not plastic. I don't want to offend anybody's sensibilities, but I ain't promoting plastic flowers. I have never figured out the aesthetic contribution of plastic flowers to the world, but I don't have them in my center. Now that I'm getting to be a big shot, giving speeches all over the place, we had a bunch of high school principals come visit my school, and they said, "Man, Mr. Strickland, this place is fabulous." And we were really blown away by them flowers. We were curious how them flowers got there. So I got in my car, went out to the greenhouse, and I bought them, and I brought them back, and I put them there. You don't need a task force or a study group to buy flowers for your kids, man. The children deserve fresh flowers in their life. The cost is incidental. The gesture is very significant. The reason why I won the MacArthur Fellowship, I figured out the cure for spiritual cancer. It's called sunlight and good food and decency and flowers and hope. I manufacture hope in this center. That's what this thing's all about. We built a $1 million kitchen, courtesy of the Heinz Company. We take poor folks and we make them gourmet cooks in about 10 months, going to work at private clubs and country clubs and institutional cooking. No background in food preparation when we start with them. They're gourmet cooks in 10 months flat. We built an amphitheater for the students. We bring in chefs from all over the world to do product presentations. That's our pastry department. We took the design from a Ritz-Carlton hotel and built it. Why? You want people to perform at a world-class standard, you have to give them world-class equipment and world-class tools, and they'll perform every day of the week. That's our culinary department. This is the food that the poor folks are doing after 6 months. These are the people who supposedly don't have any ability. Well, we've made a fascinating discovery. The only thing that we can determine that's wrong with poor people is they don't have any money, which is a curable condition. It's all in the way you think about people that drives behavior. Now, that's what welfare mothers are doing in a black neighborhood with a high crime rate. By the way, this is lunch. This is what we eat at school every day. Why? Because we've discovered it's very difficult to teach people when they're hungry. So the answer is give them something to eat. But we don't do fast food, we do gourmet food. And we subsidize a gourmet lunch for everybody in the school every day of the week. More of our work. That's all pastry. I actually sat down and ate a whole basket one time. It was very good. This is our dining room. Looks like your average high school cafeteria in your hometown, right? Well, this is our idea how to treat people. And we do a lot of cross-marketing. Medical Association, Engineer Society come and use our facility. And one of my goals in life is to build one of these things in every city in America before this conversation's over. We train pharmaceutical technicians for the healthcare industry. We train chemical technicians for the chemical industry. Calgon Carbon, BASF, PPG, Alcoa. You come to Pittsburgh, I'll show you welfare moms doing analytical chemistry using logarithmic calculators in less than 12 months with no background in science, as sure as I'm standing here at this podium. That's our library. This is the arts program. Remember I'm the black guy from the 60s making pottery? How many of you were even around in the 60s? Raise your hand. Well, that's cool. One time, nobody raised their hand. So I got checked out who I'm talking to, the jokes don't work. Well, I recruit kids from the public school system that are called at risk, meaning they're dropping out at the rate of 50%. I recruit these kids as early as 8th grade. I put them in an arts program. I graduated 95% of the kids last year. We've averaged over 90% for 17 years in a row. Why? There's nothing wrong with the kids, except that clay and sunlight and flowers and food can't cure. And I don't have a degree in education. I have a degree in common sense, which is where this thing had better get to or we're done in this country as we know it. So we do clay, as you might suspect. This is all kids' work. Artistic aptitude is not a requirement to get into the program, whatever that is. We've had kids get 4-year scholarships right out of the ceramic studio. Mosaic workshop. This is what the kids did for the school. These are all the kids with no ability, remember. We do photography. The kid took that picture, now working for Disney. That's our gallery. This is the student show. By the time these kids graduate from high school, they have 4 major shows on their resume and a PowerPoint presentation that they hand to the admissions officer when they go to school. Why? Because the answer's up here, guys. We've got to change the way people think. You change the way they think, you change behavior. This is actually an old slide. Before I got real fancy with my little PowerPoint, I had slides in a box with duct tape on the corner and a slide projector. And I got called out to a place called the Silicon Valley. So I showed up with a slide projector, and these people looked at me like I was from Pluto, man. That's cool. I blew off the desk, plugged in my slide projector, told them a little story. The lady came out on, and she said, "Man, what a presentation. My only criticism is your computers are getting a little bit old." Well, I ain't no high-tech guy. They all looked about the same to me. I said, "What do you do for a living?" She said, "Well, I help run a company called Hewlett-Packard." I said, "Well, my dear, there's an instantaneous solution to this problem." The long and short of it is we got $1 million from HP and a systems engineer to go with it. And we now have one of the hippest digital imaging centers east of the Mississippi River. And I'm putting kids into the Rhode Island School of Design right out of the imaging center. This is called a classroom. This is how you're supposed to treat your kids. Well, as it turns out, we're doing this thing pretty good, but I keep this slide in here for nostalgia reasons, and you never know when an Apple representative might be in the audience. We also stuck a music hall in the north end of the building, and a fellow named Dizzy Gillespie showed up, pretty good trumpet player. And I said to Dizzy, "Why would you come to a black school in the middle of the inner city that doesn't even have a reputation in music?" He said, "Billy Taylor told me a black guy built it, and I didn't believe one seat for myself. And you ought to build one of these in every city in America. And I'm going to help you do it." So he allowed us to record his concert. He gave us the rights to the music. Herbie Hancock showed up, Wynton Marsalis showed up, Nancy Wilson, Shirley Horn, Betty Carter, Stanley Turrentine. 600 recordings later, 4 Grammys later, and we've been nominated for 2 Grammys in the Latin category 2 weeks ago. We may have 6 Grammys by the time the month's over, in the middle of the inner city. These are all rich people on opening night. If you'd have dropped a bomb in that room, you'd have wiped out all the money in Pennsylvania, including my mom and dad, who are now deceased, but they lived long enough to see their kid build this center in the neighborhood. There's Dizzy. There's Billy Taylor and Jerry Mulligan. That's Pat Metheny and Jim Hall. Paul Simon's engineers designed this acoustically perfect recording studio, and Nancy Wilson did back-to-back recordings with us, both of which won Grammys. These are children from the public school system that's brought over. This was burned out during the riots. I had another cardboard box built. I built a medical technology center in the middle of the inner city. The thing makes money in a black neighborhood, but get downtown rental rates. Never had one incident since we've been open. University of Pittsburgh Medical Center is one of our partners. Citizens Bank's in there, and we also grow orchids. I got the welfare moms growing orchids because it's good for their spirits as well as their pocketbooks. We sell the orchids in the grocery stores, generate money to support the center. We have the advanced technology horticultural program in the worst neighborhood in Pittsburgh, and have never had one incident since we've been open. This product and this product. We took first and second prize in the Orchid Symposium, so we're in the orchid business big time. And finally, remember I was out there at the Silicon Valley with my little slideshow? Well, this kid come out of the audience, he said, man, what a talk, man. I said, cool, what do you do for a living? He said, oh, I built a company called eBay. I said, oh, that's cool, you got a card? I put the kid's card in my pocket. I didn't know what eBay was. I asked one of the little techie kids, I said, what is eBay, man? He said, Mr. Strickland, that's the Electronic Commerce Network. I said, holy smokes, I met the guy that built the company. So I called him up. I said, Mr. Skull, I've come to have a much deeper appreciation of who you are, man. And he started laughing. He said, I thought you'd figure it out sooner or later. Here's $500,000. I said, what's that for? He says, your first replication. And I said to Jeff Skull, what are you messing around with me for? He said, I think you're eBay on the social side. I'm going to stick around and see if I'm right. We're now building centers around the country. We got 4 open. Cleveland, this is San Francisco before it was fixed up. There's Jeff, Mr. eBay, Billy Wong, and the kids doing digital imaging and film with George Lucas Studios. This is the work that the kids are doing. These are all the forgotten children who supposedly don't have any technology or any ability to learn. This is Cincinnati. We cut the dropout rate to 6% in 24 months. There's nothing wrong with these children that sunlight and good food and flowers can't cure. This is the gallery, the kids, digital imaging. The kids are doing murals now at $10,000 a pop around Cincinnati, turned it into a business. This is the one that's open in Grand Rapids, cut the dropout rate to 5% in Grand Rapids. I got welfare mothers who are pharmaceutical technicians in downtown Grand Rapids today. This is the center we built. You get the picture. Every center is beautiful by definition. Those are photographs of Dr. King taken during the last 2 years of his life until he was killed. There's the dining facility. There's the program. We just opened up Cleveland, and these are some of the kids and medical technology. This is the newest one in Cleveland. We have a waiting list 2 deep. When we opened up the center, kids came for the first time and walked away from the door because they thought they got off at the wrong stop, that nobody possibly could be treating them like this. Well, we're treating them like that because they deserve it. And these are medical tech folks. There's the medical tech area. This is the one we're going to open up in Connecticut in the spring. This is the one that's going to be open in Boston, New Haven in Boston. Austin, Buffalo, and Brockway are now in feasibility. These guys are in feasibility. And we're also doing these. And I have a book out called Make the Impossible Possible. Buy the book. It's got big type. It's real short. But every time I sell a book, it gives me another opportunity to build a center. Oh, by the way, we're going to do one in Chicago. Lawndale to start. And I have no intention of changing my mind. The goal is to build 100 centers in the U.S. and 100 around the world. Now, here's the point of the story. We don't need to be living like this. I gave you some examples, one small example of how you can change life from death to hope. And I believe that we can do this now in our generation in this country. And I'm hoping in some small way I've given you a vision of what a dream looks like, and the highest compliment you've already paid me, which is to celebrate this work. Thank you very much.